Dominique would find herself in New York for a brief spell before eventually moving back to Beverly Hills. Upon graduation from high school, Dominique decided the acting profession would be her calling, and in fact, she was doing quite well for herself, having landed roles on several major TV series such as Breaking Away, Chips, Fame, Family, Hill Street Blues, Lou Grant, Fame, and Saint Elsewhere. Dominique would also go on to appear in such films as Diary of a Teenage Hitchhiker and The Day the Loving Stopped. In 1982, she would land her biggest role yet, a prominent role in Poltergeist, a film written by Steven Spielberg. The future was definitely bright for this young flame. In fact, the role in Poltergeist led to her becoming a regular cast member on the science fiction series V, which was shooting a 4-hour pilot episode. Her role was eventually taken over by Blair Tefkin. As Dominique's status in the Hollywood acting scene began to escalate, so did the attention to her as an available young bachelorette. She would soon attract the eyes of a prominent young chef at the ritzy Maison, John Thomas Sweeney. The two would soon become a couple, but trouble for Dominique began almost immediately. Sweeney was an abusive cad, both emotionally and physically. Following the advice of loved ones around her, Dominique would eventually break off her relationship with Sweeney, finding relief that he was finally out of her life. But on the evening of October 30, 1982, while at her home on 8723 Rangeley Drive, Dominique would find herself in a brutal argument with her former boyfriend. While rehearsing a scene from V with fellow actor David Packer, Sweeney showed up and wanted to discuss moving back in with her. But Dominique would have nothing to do with that. Their argument would spill out into the driveway, where Sweeney grabbed her forcibly by the throat until she fell to the ground. The police were eventually called to the scene, and upon his arrest, Sweeney would exclaim, "I've killed my girlfriend." But little did he know that, first of all, she was no longer his girlfriend, and secondly, she was not dead. The actress was only unconscious but was quickly whisked to the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center emergency room, where she was stabilized, but remained in a coma for 5 days. At around 11 in the morning on November 4, 1982, Dominique's heart would stop beating. It was widely held that her family pulled the plug on her life support equipment, but doctors maintained that she never gained consciousness and simply died. Dominique Dunne was but 22 years old. Dominique Dunne's body was buried at Westwood Memorial Park in Plot Section D, L189, with a grave marker that reads, "Dominique Dunne, beloved daughter and sister, 1959 to 1982, loved by all." Ironically, she was killed by a man who professed to still love her. Her gravesite is near that of family friend, Natalie Wood.